When it comes to dating and relationships, most men focus on actions. How often she texts, how much time she gives, how affectionate she seems. And while actions do matter, there's something even more revealing that many men overlook: words. Words are not random. People don't casually say things that carry emotional weight without meaning them on some level. Especially in the early stages of dating, when emotions are still forming, what a woman says often reveals her mindset long before her actions catch up. The problem is, attraction can make men selectively deaf. When you like a woman, it's easy to dismiss uncomfortable phrases, explain them away, or assume they don't mean much. But that's how men end up investing time, energy, and emotion into situations that were never meant to work. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. People warn you before they hurt you. Not directly, not cruelly, but subtly. In small sentences, in passing comments, in phrases that sound harmless, playful, or even honest. If you know how to listen, those words can save you months or even years of frustration. This video isn't about being negative or suspicious. It's about clarity. It's about understanding the hidden meaning behind certain phrases so you can make decisions from a place of self-respect instead of emotional hope. Because once you learn to hear what's really being said, dating stops being confusing and starts becoming intentional. Let's begin. At first glance, this phrase might sound harmless, even admirable. In today's world, independence is praised, and a woman who can stand on her own is often seen as confident and strong. And to be clear, independence is a good thing. The problem is not self-sufficiency. The problem is what this statement often really means in a romantic context. When a woman says, "I don't need a man," she's not just expressing independence. She's revealing how she views relationships and, more importantly, how she views you. Healthy relationships are not built on need, but they are built on mutual desire, appreciation, and partnership. When someone emphasizes that they don't need you, they're quietly saying your presence is optional, not valued. This phrase often creates an unbalanced dynamic. It positions the man as replaceable and subtly removes responsibility to invest, prioritize, or compromise. And no relationship can grow where one person sees themselves as completely self-contained while the other is trying to connect. Many men hear this and make a critical mistake. They try to prove their worth, they work harder, give more, and hope she'll eventually recognize their value. But the moment you start proving yourself to someone who has already minimized your role, you lose leverage and self-respect. A woman who respects men doesn't need to dismiss them to feel strong. She can be independent and appreciative at the same time. So when you hear, "I don't need a man," don't argue, don't convince. Take it as information. Choose someone who doesn't just tolerate your presence, but genuinely wants it. Few statements are more damaging to a man's confidence and a relationship's foundation than this one. "My ex was better." Even when said casually or during an argument, these words reveal something deeper that should never be ignored. When a woman compares you to her ex, she's telling you that the past still has emotional space in her present. Instead of seeing you for who you are, she's measuring you against someone who is no longer part of her life, but clearly not out of her mind. And no man can win in a competition against memory. You're not being judged fairly. You're being compared to a filtered version of someone who no longer exists. This kind of comparison shifts the relationship into a constant evaluation. Every effort you make starts to feel like a test. Every mistake feels amplified. Over time, this creates insecurity, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. That's not connection, that's pressure. Some men respond by trying harder. They give more, tolerate more, and push themselves to outperform the past. But this is a losing strategy. Competing with an ex doesn't build attraction. It reinforces the idea that you're trying to earn a position that should never be questioned in the first place. A woman who respects you won't use her past as a weapon. She won't keep old relationships alive through comparison. If she's truly invested in you, the past becomes irrelevant. So if you ever hear, "My ex was better," don't argue or defend yourself. Take it as a clear sign that she hasn't fully moved on, and that staying will only cost you your peace of mind. At first, this phrase can sound flattering. When a woman says, "You're too good for me," many men hear appreciation. They assume it means she recognizes their value. But in reality, this statement is rarely a compliment. More often, it's a confession and a quiet warning. What she's really saying is that she knows she won't match your effort, consistency, or standards. Instead of rising to meet you, she lowers expectations in advance. It's a way of preparing you for disappointment without taking responsibility for it. The message underneath is simple: don't expect too much from me. This phrase also reveals insecurity. When someone genuinely wants to be with you, they don't push you away emotionally. They don't frame themselves as unworthy and leave it there. They either grow, improve, or communicate openly. Saying, "you're too good for me," often signals self-doubt that later turns into self-sabotage, jealousy, or emotional withdrawal. Many men respond to this by reassuring her. They try to convince her that she's enough, that they don't expect perfection. While reassurance is healthy in moderation, repeatedly trying to fix someone's self-image becomes exhausting, and it never works long-term. A balanced relationship requires two people willing to meet each other at the same level. When someone tells you they can't do that, believe them. You're not there to rescue or convince anyone of their worth. If she says you're too good for her, take it seriously. It's not humility, it's honesty. And sometimes the most respectful response is to walk away before the imbalance becomes your burden. This is one of the most common phrases men hear, and one of the most misunderstood. When a woman says, "I'm not ready for a relationship," many men take it as a timing issue. They think she just needs patience, consistency, or proof. But in most cases, this statement has very little to do with readiness and everything to do with interest. People make room for what they truly want. When attraction and emotional connection are strong, hesitation fades quickly. History is full of relationships that began at the wrong time, but moved forward anyway because the desire was undeniable. So when a woman tells you she's not ready, what she's often saying is that she doesn't see you as the person she wants to commit to. The danger comes when men ignore this and decide to wait. They stay emotionally available, offer support, attention, and loyalty, without any clarity or commitment in return. Over time, this turns them into a placeholder. She gets the benefits of companionship while keeping her options open, and the man slowly loses self-respect. Waiting doesn't increase attraction, it weakens it. The more you accept uncertainty, the more you signal that your time and standards are flexible. And once that message is sent, it's very hard to reverse. A woman who truly wants you won't need convincing. She won't ask you to wait in limbo. Even if she has fears or doubts, she'll move forward because the idea of losing you feels worse than the risk of commitment. So when you hear, "I'm not ready for a relationship," don't argue or negotiate. Respect the words. Step back. Choose clarity over hope. Because the right connection doesn't require patience. It requires mutual desire. This phrase sounds thoughtful and sincere, which is why so many men accept it without question. "I need to find myself" appears to suggest growth, reflection, and personal development. But in dating, this statement often has a very different meaning. When a woman genuinely sees you as someone she wants a future with, self-growth doesn't require emotional distance. In fact, she wants you involved in that process. Growth happens alongside connection, not in isolation from it. So when she says she needs to find herself while asking you to wait, what she's usually saying is that she doesn't see you as part of that future, but she doesn't want to lose access to you either. This puts you in a passive role. You become emotional support instead of a priority. You're expected to understand, be patient, and remain available while she explores her life and her options. And the longer you accept that position, the more you communicate that your time and presence are negotiable. Many men internalize this and blame themselves. They wonder what they did wrong or what they could improve. But the truth is simpler. If she truly feared losing you, she wouldn't risk creating distance. People protect what they value. This phrase is often used because it sounds kinder than rejection. It avoids confrontation while keeping the door slightly open. But staying in that space only delays the inevitable. A man with self-respect doesn't wait to be chosen. He chooses himself. If someone needs to find themselves without you, let them do it alone. Your life shouldn't be paused for someone else's uncertainty. This is one of the most misleading phrases a man can hear because it sounds caring on the surface. When a woman says, "you deserve better," it can feel like respect, honesty, or even concern for your well-being. But beneath the polite delivery, this statement usually serves one purpose: to exit the situation without taking responsibility. If she truly believed you deserved better and wanted to be with you, she would work to become better. She would communicate, adjust, and invest. People don't walk away from what they genuinely value. Instead, this phrase is often used to avoid direct rejection while easing guilt. It allows her to leave while appearing considerate. The danger here is how it affects you. Many men respond by arguing against it. They say things like, "I don't want better, I want you," or "You're enough for me." While that may feel honest, it places you in a weaker position. You're essentially negotiating with someone who has already emotionally checked out. This phrase also creates confusion. It leaves the door slightly open, making you wonder if things could change. But clarity matters more than comfort. A goodbye wrapped in kindness is still a goodbye. Here's the truth. She's right about one thing. You do deserve better. You deserve someone who chooses you clearly, not someone who walks away while asking you to understand. So when you hear, "You deserve better," don't debate it. Accept it calmly. Thank her for the honesty and move on. Walking away with dignity is the strongest response you can give. Few phrases create as much confusion as "I need space." On the surface, it sounds reasonable. Everyone needs time to think, to breathe, to reset. But in dating and relationships, this phrase often signals something much deeper than a temporary pause. It signals emotional withdrawal. When a woman is genuinely interested and emotionally secure, closeness feels natural. She wants connection, communication, and shared time. So when she suddenly asks for space, it usually means her feelings have shifted. Something has changed internally, and distance feels easier than addressing it directly. The mistake many men make at this moment is panic. They overtext, over-explain, and try to fix things immediately. Ironically, this response confirms her need to pull away even further. Chasing doesn't restore attraction. It accelerates detachment. In some cases, "I need space" is a test. She's observing how you handle discomfort. Will you collapse emotionally and make her your center? Or will you stay calm, grounded, and focused on your own life? In other cases, it's the early stage of an exit, distance before a breakup. Either way, the meaning is the same. She's unsure, and uncertainty is information you should never ignore. A strong response isn't anger or pleading, it's composure. You respect the request without putting your life on hold. You step back, refocus on your purpose, and allow her to feel the absence she asked for. Men with direction don't chase emotional distance. They recognize that if someone needs space from them, that person may no longer be aligned with their path. And alignment, not anxiety, is what healthy relationships are built on. If she needs space, give it, but don't wait in it. By now, one thing should be clear. Words are never just words. Especially in dating, they are signals, clear indicators of mindset, intention, and emotional availability. The phrases we've covered in this video are not accidental slips or harmless expressions. They are moments of honesty, whether the person saying them realizes it or not. The biggest mistake men make is ignoring these signs and replacing clarity with hope. They convince themselves that things will change, that effort will be rewarded, or that patience will eventually turn uncertainty into commitment. But relationships don't grow through confusion. They grow through mutual desire, respect, and alignment. Walking away from the wrong situation is not failure. It's discernment. It means you value your time, your emotional energy, and your future enough not to invest them where they aren't appreciated. A strong man doesn't chase mixed signals. He listens, observes, and acts accordingly. The right woman will not make you feel optional. She won't compare you to her past, delay her interest, or push you away emotionally. You won't need to decode her words or guess where you stand. Her actions and language will be consistent, clear, and grounded in respect. Remember this: every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you make space for what does. Self-respect filters your life. And when you start choosing clarity over attachment, you stop losing yourself in relationships and start building ones that actually add value to your life. That is real confidence. That is real strength.